This episode of the GSE podcast is brought to you by Fort Brand, not your everyday GSE provider. We go beyond belt loaders and bag tractors, offering tow barless pushbacks, de-icers, and airport maintenance equipment, all available on demand across North America and the UK. Whether you need electric units to support your ESG goals or traditional equipment for today's ramp, Fort Brand delivers flexible leasing with the option of full-service maintenance to keep your fleet at peak performance. When you partner with Fort Brand, you get more than equipment. You get expertise, reliability, and a commitment to keeping your operation running smoothly. Visit fortbrand.com to learn more.
This is Patrick Dennison.
This is Jake Klein.
This is Daniel Burtis.
My name is Dean Swabish, and you're listening to the GSE Podcast.
All right. Well, welcome to another edition of the GSE Podcast. I'm Matt Weitzel, and we are at the Orlando office today, which is going to be the home of the future studio. And if you're a listener of the podcast, I put out a call on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago about sending in some stuff for the shelving units that we're going to have here. We're going to paint this wall. From what I hear, guys, Oshkosh has said that they are going to come over, help me take down this chair rail, paint the wall, put in the shelves. We'll see if they actually do it. But they're here in Orlando, and I trust them. So we'll see, because I can't do this by myself. I mean, you know, I think everybody's seen me. I can't do stuff like this. I can't paint. I can't take down chair rails. But I think Christian from Oshkosh could do the job. So anyway, so we're hoping he's going to come by, but we're videoing today, which is also cool. Last time it didn't work. If you saw my other LinkedIn post about my complete epic fail trying to record, I think we got a total of 18 seconds on that one. I brought in my personal camera for today because we have a very special guest today on the podcast, and that is a Mr. David Dick from Wilcox GSE, and he has joined me today to talk about Wilcox GSE. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me, Matt.
You have a very good radio voice.
Do I?
You really do.
Did I?
Is that the reason you wanted to come on?
Did I miss my calling?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never done this before, so
Yeah.
maybe there's still a chance.
I mean, you have the Canadian accent, which is something, but
That's
you
so
have a
funny.
very good, deep, radio voice, which I really enjoy.
The Canadian accent, I went to school, university in Niagara on the U.S. side, and they used to make fun of my accent all the time. And I'd be like, you guys have the accent. I don't. So, I mean, I don't hear it. I don't know if I say a boot but I'm sure it will come out. So, but no, thank you for having me. And I was going to ask you if we call this your studio. Is it, what's the name of it?
Yeah, it's really not a studio yet, is it? We're just kind of in a room, but this will be the future studio.
I mean, it feels studio, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, we have equipment. So
Yeah.
if that's what makes it a studio, then
Yeah.
there we are. We're
Yeah.
here.
I like it. No, I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And yeah, a little bit nervous, but I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And it kind of reminds me, I went to school, my first year of college, I went to a school in South Bend, Indiana, which is famously known for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go to Notre Dame, and I couldn't get in. They have they turned down a lot of applicants. So I was like, well, I got to live my dream, right? So I'm going to still go. I'll just go to Holy Cross, which is where Rudy went. I don't know if you ever saw the movie.
I did.
Rudy.
Good movie.
It's a great movie. So Rudy went to Holy Cross for a couple of years before he transferred to Notre Dame. And many people do this, right? So in my dorm room at Holy Cross, I had a guy from Louisiana that is now a famous radio guy, actually. I had a guy from Michigan and a guy from New York, and then me from Kentucky. Okay, so that's how many people come to this small community college in South Bend, Indiana, because to fulfill their dream of going to Notre Dame.
That's
Okay.
pretty cool.
So back to your accent story, they would make fun of me about my Kentucky accent. I would have people just come up to me at Holy Cross and just go, can you just talk for me? Because this is hilarious. And I really worked on it. I mean, I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if the listeners can tell, but I used to have a really thick Kentucky accent, and maybe I still have it. I don't know, but I've tried to kill it.
Yeah,
ever
you have an
since.
accent for sure.
Yeah. Is it really bad? Is it really Southern?
I don't know if it's really Southern, but it's there.
Okay.
I wouldn't say bad. I like your accent.
Okay.
No, it's, yeah, through the podcast, listen to it, when you speak, I think it's definitely you. So,
Okay. It's definitely me, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, right? All right. Well, we are here to talk a little bit about GSE, but the way that we always start a podcast is, how did you get into our GSE industry?
yeah, I think my story is a little bit different from most, where I still would say that I tell people is like, I'm not a GSE person. I'm not an airline person. It was a fluke, to be honest. So, and I feel, again, like it's to be able to be here, being highlighted. A year ago, the Ground Support magazine did an article on me, which was great. So it's just all this stuff kind of come out of nowhere. But if I go way back, Wilcox, we've been in business since 1962. My dad bought it in 1980. I started working there when I was 13 years old. So been there my whole life. Full time, I had to look it up this morning because I didn't even know. So 28 years. My first job was cleaning toilets. And if you're, back in the 80s and 90s in a production facility and, those bathrooms and stuff, it wasn't
Not a pretty job.
No, it wasn't pretty at all.
Yeah.
So, and I worked my way through, kind of that after, just as a kid, and then after school and summers and sweeping floors and pretty much doing everything in production. Where the company started and still exists. We have the umbrella company now, Wilcox Group of Companies, but where it started was Wilcox Bodies. So we manufacture truck bodies. So we've been doing that for, I guess, 63 years now. So I worked through production. I was working clean and prep. I pretty much done everything out there. I never painted, did a little bit of welding, but I'm not a welder. So I experienced it. I got to the point that we had machines, turret press. I don't know. Do you know what a turret press is? It's like a big punch press.
Okay.
So I used to program it and run it. My personality is really to push the limits of stuff. So I would see how far I could, what type of material I could punch. It's, you do quarter-inch steel, punch quarter-inch steel with, a half-inch or an inch die. It gets pretty loud. It would shake the place. So,
wow.
So I worked through there, and I know my dad's going to hear this afterwards, but I absolutely hated it. I didn't want to work at Wilcox ever. I went to college in Canada for law enforcement. And then, like I said, in Niagara Falls, New York, criminology. So got a degree over there. And my goal was to be a police officer. And I remember the moment that I changed my mind, I was just nearing the end of my university career and saw news. And I remember exactly, it was a gentleman in Montreal, that was 2 weeks away from retiring, a police officer that pulled somebody over and got shot and killed. And that was, for me, it was about helping people, not, the crime side of it and putting myself at risk. And that was the time that I changed my mind of, going forward with police. So luckily, walk back to my dad and say, I want a job. And I think he didn't want to give me one. We had a retail store at that time, and this was all to deal with trucking. And so I ran that. We had a bad time during our company that a bunch of our employees left and formed a competitive business against us. So he just plucked me out of our retail store at that time and said, you're running, the production now. And I didn't know what I was doing. So turned out I was pretty good at visualizing and seeing the, numbers and really starting to understand. And I was pulling out things that were wrong, and I could highlight it to him. So I kind of discovered that I liked that, and I liked being able to change things. We did custom trucks, or we still do, and pushing limits and having the freedom to be able to do it. And always understood that when I got my job, my dad always told me, is like, you are the boss's son and you got to work harder than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. And I do that. And so I know even to today is I have my job because of him, but I work really hard and I've earned my job to where I am now. So I'm good at what I do. And so he tried with the sales team we were more construction and rail and emergency vehicles. And he tried to get into aviation, more on the truck side, but was never able to do it. And I where the crossover happened for me, where I say it was a complete fluke. And I remember the moment, it was probably, I'm going to say maybe 12 years ago. I was in Toronto in an airplane. I looked outside and I saw a baggage cart and trying to think of ways to, when I run a company, I have so many employees that are underneath me and there's so many people that I'm responsible for. So we have 120 employees, but at that they have families and then there's suppliers. I mean, there's like thousands of people that kind of rely on me to make sure that we're busy. So I like to diversify, right? And I'm looking at a baggage cart outside of an aircraft window. And if you know, like a service truck, we would manufacture the body on the back. So if you can picture it, you can picture like it has doors. So the way we make our service boxes they're just boxes. So that if it was 3 boxes, it would literally be 3 boxes put together, welded, and I'm simplifying it obviously. But so when I looked at a baggage cart, I'm like, this is just a box. This is just one compartment of our truck. So why can't we make baggage carts?
Right.
I believe our company then we would say that we manufacture truck bodies, but to me, we cut, we bend, we paint metal. And it just happens to be a truck at the end. It can be anything. So when I'm looking at a box, I'm like, okay, well, it's a baggage cart. We can make that. I had reached out we were doing vehicles at the time it was for WestJet. And I didn't have any contacts. And I looked in our system and I was like, okay, who's the customer? And I found the gentleman's name and we had his email in our system and I shot him an email and I was just like, hey, any way that I can get on the, RFQs for doing baggage carts, because I'd love to be able to do it. And it was immediately, I got an email back saying, he's like, do you have a time for a quick phone call? Because I think there's a really big opportunity here. I mean, for me, it's like, if I hear really big opportunity, I'm like, all in, right? Let's do this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So he gets on the phone with me and he's like, there's nobody in Canada that manufactures GSE. And he's like, I think you guys would be awesome at it, because he knew our equipment and what we do. He's like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. And I'm like, I know nothing about this stuff. And he's like, I'll help you get through it. So we started with baggage carts, but I don't even think we ever got to a baggage cart, because then it was like, can you do this? Can you do this? And I think the first thing may have been a tire cart and then dollies and whatnot. And it just kind of started. It just started from like an email. And the name didn't even exist yet. Like it was still under Wilcox Bodies. And we started building stuff, and airlines now were coming and being like, oh, you guys are Canadian, you make this stuff and it's up here, and all the different reasons, exchange rates. And we had an airline come and I noticed that they looked up at our building and it said Wilcox Bodies. And they were like, I could tell them being like, why are we buying airline equipment from a truck company?
Yeah.
And that was like my moment where I'm like, okay, this has got to change, right? So that was 9 years ago. So we're still babies in the industry. And so I created the branding at that point was Wilcox Ground Services.
Okay.
So we still ran it under the full team of Wilcox Bodies. We just had another brand just for, our customers to be like, this makes sense now. Mm-hmm. As we progressed down, further down, building stuff, I realized that it was just such a different industry than the trucking industry, that the staff, it was hard on them. It was hard on the designers to be able to design the one-off trucks and then high mass quantity products. And we're building trucks that we have trucks that can lift, have cranes on the back of them that can lift up to 100,000 foot-pounds of weight. So it's like, we can do this, right? Like we can make some really strong vehicles, and we make things for the airlines and it just wouldn't last. And I was like, what's going on here? Like we know what we're doing. So it became very clear as like the teams had to separate, and that started being the separation of, we got a ground services at that time became a standalone and Bodies became a standalone. So 2 different teams. I think it was 2022. So not too long ago, we were getting more because of the services name in or part of our name. People thought that we were more of a ground handler. So I was like, okay, that doesn't really make sense. Started looking at the industry and really, a lot of our competition, you look at there is like reference GSE in the name. So we did the transition from Wilcox Ground Services to Wilcox GSE, and that's where we are today. So
yeah, that's a really interesting story. It just reminds me. So when I started at Exceed, so Fort Brand just recently acquired Exceed, but I was with Exceed for 9 years. And when I started there, Exceed was named Exceed Aviation Services. The first thing I did when I came to Exceed, I was like, we have to change the name, because everybody's going to think we're providing aviation services.
service
We're
company,
100% not providing aviation services, right?
Yeah.
Like we're a GSE leasing and rental company, so we need to change. So I ended up, they listened to me, and we got, we changed our website name to Exceed GSE. And I mean, GSE is just so much, everybody knows what GSE is, and especially in this industry. So it makes sense.
It makes sense, but coming into it where we didn't know anything is like, I don't know. I mean, it sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know like
it sounds
ground
great.
support equipment was at that time. I mean, it was to the point, and it's embarrassing because I was so green at it that I remember that somebody had asked something along the lines of a hub, and it was either like how many poles or hub had or tires or something. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I was just like, okay, that's cool. I'll find out. And I had to Google. It was like, what's up?
Yeah.
I had no clue of this stuff. So in a short term, time here in 9 years, I've learned a lot. But that's why I still feel that it's like, I'm obviously, when I say that I don't feel that I'm part of the GSE world, I am, we contribute and we do stuff, but I come with an outside of the industry eye. And I think that's been really like the benefit for me, is that I was never involved. It's hard a little bit because we aren't on the air side, right? Like we're here, and I can see you back, and you guys have all the equipment, and we don't get to see people use it. So it's a little bit harder for us. So you're learning from feedback, but it gives us the opportunity to pivot a little bit and do some things a little bit different.
See, I feel like we're in a very accepting group, the GSE
Oh,
group.
for sure. I love this industry. There's so many nice people. I mean, customers, competitors, just like everybody is kind. And
that is so true.
It's a really good industry to be part of. I love it.
Yeah. And so are you still doing like the Wilcox Bodies and all that kind of stuff? That is still a very thriving business.
Yes.
It's just that, so what is your focus then? Like, how do you, focus your time? Is it 60-40? Like, what is it?
Right now, I've kind of shifted back a little bit more of my time to the body side. More probably, we've had a lot of changeover on personnel. Okay. So just,
so
teaching and educating.
Step in. So you kind of like try to flux depending on what's going on with each of the businesses.
And our GSE team is pretty strong now. Yeah. So we had over COVID, obviously, a lot of people kind of changed jobs, and we had to lay off some people, but we brought everybody back, but some people didn't come back. Oh, that's amazing. Right? So it's a really strong team now. So I have more ability to focus on the other side a little bit while the GSE is kind of flourishing. Mm-hmm. So I would say 60-40 maybe on the body side right now. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But then that'll change depending on what's
100%.
Going on and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty flexible that way. So.
And then so the main product lines, let's go through them for Wilcox. So it's dollies.
Yeah.
Right. So LD3, LD7, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's all non-powered. Mm-hmm. Non-powered. Okay. So it's non-powered, I guess, equipment, and then vehicles. So just the vehicles just made sense because of what we do on the truck side. Yeah. It's a natural fit. But we'll look at ground handling equipment. So baggage carts, dollies, LD3s, LD7s. And then on the MRO side, then we'll be doing stairs, prop stands, platforms, things like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you all did stairs and all that kind of stuff. So do you all do passenger stairs?
No packs. No. Okay. So all maintenance. So that's been a request. We've had a big request for the passenger stuff. Honestly, right now, it just more is we're currently looking into it. It's more of an insurance thing than, on us of not wanting to do it. So once you get into passenger items, then with insurance, it's just a whole different ballgame. So we've stayed away.
But it seems like to me that you could do the mobile passenger stairs. They're on a truck.
Yeah, we could. It ends up being, I think it's because you have people on it, right? And there's so many people. So it just
seems like a natural fit.
It is. It really is. We're doing stairs. And I think I think eventually we'll get there. But the truck line is going to keep growing. We do bobtails right now. It's funny, in Canada, we do maintenance platform trucks. In the States, they don't use them down here. I don't know why, but they would use these as instead of a stair to pull up a 737 and access the door, do maintenance on the truck. So it's like mobile. Yeah. Platform vans. We will be coming out with lav carts and water carts soon. So, wow. Expanding that to the truck side. And the truck side, I want to, the word that wants to come out is easy. It's not easy, but it's more of a natural fit for us.
Yeah. So water and lav would definitely make sense for your product offering, I think.
Yeah. So it'll be very soon. Our lav cart is done. So it's just kind of in testing right now. So we're going to start off with that kind of concept on the cart side. And then once we have that, we just roll it over to a truck, and it's, pretty much the same thing. It'll be no problem. So
yeah,
we won't be far out on that.
So are you buying trucks for both businesses, and therefore do you get like a better price because you're buying in such volume?
No, it's funny, on the body side, the customers actually supply the trucks mainly.
Okay.
So we don't really deal with it. We upfit it. On the GS side is that they want turnkey. So they're not going to go out, airline's not going to go out and buy a bunch of chassis and send them over to us. So we actually buy them on that side. So there's not enough volume right now, but there is, once you get into that, there's pooling, and there's different ways to do it that you will get potentially better prices. But when you're going to be mainly dealing with like Isuzus or Fords or, some of the bigger company. And when they start giving discounts, like they're talking,
oh yeah, you got to have, and that's the reason I was asking. But yeah, so you're not buying the vehicles for the other business?
Not often.
Not typically.
Yeah, I would say maybe like 5% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what kind of trucks are you using? Like, what do you generally do for bobtails?
F-350s or the Dodge 3500s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the customer can choose that?
Yeah. Yeah. Our first one was the Ram. And that was only because of COVID. We couldn't get any Fords. You couldn't get chassis anywhere.
Yeah.
We built it. We actually prefer building on Rams. And I know everybody has a preference. I talked to a few people last week that don't really like the Ram, but it's a less expensive truck. I feel it's got a good engine. It's a stronger truck. But Ford's is typically the work truck. That's the one that people are going to build on. So there's benefits to both. I mean, Ford, you're going to have more service, locations that if you need it. But when you come out to the airport, it's not usually leaving anyways. Mm-hmm. So, but those are the two trucks that would be reliable that we pick on right now.
But a customer can kind of choose what they want and tell
100%.
You, and then you'll build it for them.
Yeah. So even on on the maintenance side, we'll have like our standard design. We'll have different options that they can do. So we have a couple different platform sizes, or, whatever lighting or bottle holders or whatever they need on the inside of it. They can pick and choose and kind of configure it whatever way that they want. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody comes, we have customers that do them on like GMs. Okay, we'll build on it. That's fine. So if somebody has something that they want to do it on, we'll do it. We'll recommend certain ones, but
I mean, it sounds like that's the advantage. You have a shop that can do everything. I mean, and you all have plenty of experience building on chassis. So it's just not an issue for you guys.
The truck stuff is not an issue at all.
Yeah.
So the bobtail's a little bit challenging just because there's the shortening of the chassis versus if it was just a stock chassis, would be so much easier building the body. I think we could probably build one of those bodies in less than a week. Like, they're so uncomplicated. It's just so basic.
So was there a learning curve to building that bobtail?
What's that?
Was there a learning curve on building that bobtail? Like you said, you got to shorten the chassis, and that's not something that's typically done, right? Yeah,
that was like the hardest part. The chassis side, the body is just, and I'm not an engineer, but it's like the offset of the weight to be able to carry, the amount of pull. And it comes down to the axle rear differentials that it's going to be doing it. So I should say US too is we have the 350, but we're going to be making another one on a 550 as well.
Okay.
Because that's been like a request. So, but the body's going to be the same, I think. It's just going to be the chassis will be a little bit different.
Is there anything that you have to worry about with weather-wise being in Canada, that you all build your trucks a little bit differently because of inclement weather? Like, do y'all put on different tires, or like, are y'all thinking about these kinds of things, or are they just so heavy and it just doesn't matter?
I think it's a weight that there's not really an issue with it. Yeah. So we were looking at doing it in a 4x4. Because again, kind of go at the beginning of me being so green as I don't know. So I'll ask them, like, why doesn't anybody build these on 4x4s? So I think it's a possibility. I have customers that ask for it, but I think the difference to be able to do it, there's more challenges to try to get the front axle and the rear axle that customers just don't need it. Right? So I think there's just so much weight, change the tires on it, you're fine.
Yeah.
But if it does come out to it that there's a request for a 4x4, it's like, let's go for it. Right. I mean, that's kind of like my personality. It's like, all right, let's try it.
Yeah,
right?
let's do it.
I mean, when we did the first one, I was just like, man, I was so nervous taking a Dodge Ram, and I'm like, we're cutting this thing in half, right? If it doesn't work, like, what's the numbers? Like, I know that probably back in the past, like, my dad would have been like, there's no way that I'm doing it. And I'm like, well, what's the worst case scenario, right? We take a truck that's 60 grand, we cut it in half, and it goes in the garbage, and I'll have to explain it later. But fingers crossed, hope this works. And it worked, right?
Hey,
and
there you go.
And we got great feedback from it. People love it. So it was an opportunity of part of the market that doesn't have a lot of players, and it's where we fit in really well. So it was kind of like, okay,
well, they're definitely needed, and there isn't a lot of people making bobtails.
Yeah, it's we still have the factor of the chassis, though, right? So you're still basing on if Ford or Dodge or Ram, I guess, can get us a trucks, and it's still an outside factor of it's hard. It makes it, you're not just making something from metal and a baggage cart that you can just ship out and you can make a bunch
you're
of
very
elements.
dependent on these people having inventory and stock, and then
100%.
And how long the lead time is, because if somebody asks you what the lead time is, you have to go and then call and find out, right?
Exactly.
It's so much dependent on them.
Exactly. Like, you're probably 12 weeks on the chassis, then you're going to shorten it, and the body's, you're by the time, if you don't have them, you're probably 20 weeks out. So we're pre-ordering chassis, and we're putting in our system all the time just to try to shorten that for customers.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question was, do you all inventory anything?
We do. So again, being part of, like, I guess a newer player, we're against some giants out there. And the way that, especially over COVID, the way that we found that we could get into the industry was a stock product. So people couldn't get any product. People were actually pulling back during COVID.
Really
we
great
went the
idea,
opposite
actually.
way. So we started building. And during COVID, when it got really busy and nobody could find anything, we had it. So we ended up right now is we stock product when we just sold, for instance, we got rid of all our LD7s. We put another 60 units of our units into production. And then as we go, is if there's sales, we just keep building behind it. So our lead time is always short, and we try to keep that because we know that the turnaround is sometimes ridiculously tight.
I love that. I think that's a fantastic idea. And it seems like such a great idea, especially during COVID. Nobody was doubling down, right?
No.
But people still needed equipment. So I bet you got customers that you would have normally, it would have taken years to get into whatever customer X, but instead you had it. They were calling around. Oh, call Wilcox, see if they've got it. Oh, I've never dealt with them. And then you have it.
Yep. And it got our name out there, right? And it got the brand, and it worked. I mean, COVID was horrible for the world, but there were certain little things for us that it helped. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a different strategy, and we continue. Now we've got it's such a risk. We were building so many baggage carts, and then the industry switched a little bit, and kind of went from baggage carts at one point to dollies, and then we had a whole bunch of stock, and then you don't have this. So it's a little bit of a master plan to try to figure out and predict what's coming and talking to people, so you're not building too much of one thing, or making sure that you have it when people need it. So again, having bobtails, coming in LD7s right now, we have baggage carts, and it's kind of like the way that we approach the market. We put at GHI last year, we put on our website, so all our inventory is on there live now. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I say live, it's still
check out the website,
still
guys.
Manual, but we're going to be attaching it to our system, so we'll be fully live. But yeah, so it's all on there, so people can see what we have, and we can get it out right away.
So are you dealing with mainly airlines or mainly ground handlers, or is there a good mix of both? And then, what does that look like from a Canadian perspective compared to a U.S. perspective?
I think probably more ground handlers. Funny enough, there's more that comes down to the States than stays in Canada. I mean, just the size of it down here, there's 10 times the amount of people down here than in Canada. So naturally, there'll be more that comes here. With the fear of tariffs, it hasn't, knock on wood, and thank God that it hasn't affected us. So we've been able to still ship product down here tariff free, and hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, hopefully.
And, product coming back across the border is the same. So I would say the majority probably ground handlers, and majority probably in the States.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But the relationship with WestJet, how you kind of got started, are they still using the Wilcox GSE products?
Yeah. Oh, they use a lot. So every one of their trucks is Wilcox. They got out of the ground handling side, so they don't self-handle anymore. So we do more of the MRO stuff with them. So a lot of their platforms and stairs and things. And they will come to us with like tons of different ideas, right? Like, can you do this or will you do this? And of course, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been amazing, and I have such a loyalty to them for helping us, right? Like it's just me and my personalities. I don't forget the people that helped me, and they were always, I'll always look back, and it was like the started with them, right? And it's yeah, they've been a really good, and with other, some of their competitors as well, but they've been great, and they continue to buy. But they probably have, man, we just finished, I think, about 7 trucks for them. I don't even know how many of our trucks that they have in their fleet now, but awesome going in, you land in Toronto and you see all the stuff going around, and it's like, oh, that's all of our equipment. So it's
that is
like
amazing.
A kid in a candy store still.
Yeah. So what makes your product different than, because there's a lot of, as you said, there's a lot of non-motorized players in the market, but I think I would say technically you're pretty much like the first non-motorized person I've had on the podcast.
Nice.
I had Avro on, but I wouldn't consider them just strictly kind of like a non-motorized.
Yeah, they do.
You aren't either,
they do
but
motorized stuff as well. But
they do a lot more motorized, especially than you do. But well, like, what would you say? Is kind of the difference in the Wilcox GSE dollies and bag carts? Is it a service or like how you build it, or like what do you think it is?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything there. So I figure you're probably going to ask me this question, so I'm gonna put it in maybe a way in like this, and I'm going to use kind of beer companies as an example. Funny enough, I
love beer companies.
Yeah,
Go
so if you look at when I looked at opportunity, and you look at like the big companies like the the Budweisers or Molson's or whoever it is they do the same brand all the time or the same product, and then I'm assuming it's the same down in the States now, is that you have all these craft, companies and these little companies coming that are doing some really amazing stuff because they're listening to what people want, and they're changing things, and the big companies can't change as quick, right? And you're starting to see that they are a little bit, but it's not easy for them. So when I look at like Wilcox, and there's like, you brought up Avro is probably the same, and there's some other small companies that are kind of coming, and there's like those big giants that I refer to, these amazing companies that are out there that, as that outsider, I look at it as like, they've been doing and the feedback we're getting is like, this is what we offer, this is the doll we offer, this is the baggage cart, and it's like, well, it's not going to fit what we need. It's like, that's what we offer, take it or leave it. And so I went in, and the approach was like, okay, let's listen. Our customers are going to tell us what they're looking for, and let's adapt our product to that. So we focus on our whole company since 62 has been focusing on quality. That's number one. Customer service is number 2. And then just kind of listen to the customers and, safety and building a product that is going to last. So I really believe is like, if you have our branding on a product, it's like we stand behind it, right? So when people ask, and then this maybe sounds a little bit conceited, and I don't mean it that way, but it's like, but when you buy your product, you buy me. Right. And I'm going to stand behind it, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to, we're going to support it and do all those things. So I'm going to listen. And if you have an opportunity to make it better, our product is better. And we just released a new dolly at GSE Expo. It's like that dolly and the new design, and not just because it's ours. I'm going to say it's probably the strongest in the industry, but all of the design changes that we did came from our customers. And it was, we struggle with this. We wish it had this. Your product sucks, right now on this stuff. Can you improve it? I wish, maintenance is really hard. So we took all that stuff, and then we put it into the new one. And then even at GSE Expo, people were asking for other things. So we've already brought that back. So we're going to kind of, modify it. So I guess to get back to why us is because we're different, right? And we're listening, and we're not just going to put out the same product. Like a dolly is a dolly, a baggage cart's a baggage cart, but our baggage cart's a little bit wider. Our baggage cart will handle more. If there was areas of concern of breakage or whatever, it's like we have engineering that is not, our baggage cart has, like, for instance, we have a rubber isolator in there now, which is going to help if you have a front end or rear axle damage, they can unbolt. They can switch out an axle in 20 minutes. First, before, it was an 8-hour fix. So we can get the equipment back out quicker. We've got away from any potential points of ripping, any of those things. But it's all like feedback. So, and that's going to keep continuing. So when you partner with us, you're getting a product that we're going to stand behind. And then with your feedback, we're just going to keep making it better.
Yeah. So you're like a really nice IPA.
Yeah. Good.
That's what I'm hearing.
Funny enough that I use the beer analogy, and I stopped drinking about 2 years ago. So
Okay.
I'm just like, man, I love craft beer though. So yeah,
that's funny. And we were just talking about how my wife was in beer, and she was one of the big beer companies. So it's a good analogy.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because you said that earlier, and I was like, I want to.
Yeah. This is, I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like it. No, that's awesome. And so I imagine that, you all have a good service network and you can help out if things do go wrong in the field and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So down here, I mean, we have people that can go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think like most companies will. Working with third party down here to be able to expand that. So if there is downtime, then it's very minimal. If we can't get our team down, but if somebody requests us to have team members there, we'll get them there right away. I mean, we know that downtime of our product is downtime for them. It's costing them money, and that's not okay. So, but as we grow, we will, we're only in Canada right now, like where our manufacturing is. I am looking at possibilities of manufacturing in the States. And actually, I was last week, I was talking to a potential customer and they do some maintenance. And I was like, hey, look, there might be opportunity for us to work with you as you can support us to be able to support, our customers as well. So yeah, if you have product, and no matter where it is if it's our team or somebody else's, it will be supported, by us 100%.
Yeah, and Fort Brand has maintenance shops, so if you ever need anything,
beautiful,
you let us know, and we will try to help out. Okay?
Yeah, and those partnerships are so key, right? And I mean, it helps everybody out, and it just comes with the whole industry is that you don't want equipment down, right? It's going to affect, like we talked about it. I got to fly out, so we don't need me, my plane being delayed because of equipment. So if the more that we can all work together, it helps everybody. But,
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's a good opportunity there.
I think so. Yeah, we'll talk about it after this at lunch. But yeah, so you've kind of become LinkedIn famous as well. So we got to cover that. Yeah. So you've come up with some pretty crazy ideas, right?
Yeah. And again, it just kind of happened. So it's funny. Somebody said that I was LinkedIn famous, and I just do things and I don't think about it. I think my first one I did was maybe a walk around of a truck, and I got really good, whatever it was, I don't remember, but I got really good feedback just because it was so raw. Right. And I think it's, my position title is like, vice president or president, vice president at the time, or like who's doing this, and I'm not editing it. And like, there's so much AI in the world and you do marketing, right? So, and I just love doing things different. I love marketing. I've never like done anything like schooling for marketing, but I just love being able to do stuff different. So when I look at stuff and treat people the way that you want to be treated, right? So when I look at really good ads out there and I'm like, man, somebody's done that really, really well. So I don't want somebody to be like, yeah, I can manipulate video and I can do whatever. But as if I can go, and I can tell you, it's like never set up. So when I'm doing videos, it's always me. If I say, hey, something's in the yard, it's like literally I see something and I go and walk and I talk about it. So it's just, it's gone over really well, I think, because it's been different. And I think there's probably 3 or 4. So if you go back through, and if nobody knows my LinkedIn videos, go look at them. But there was the first one I did, I went to see our aluminum baggage cart in Salt Lake City and kind of did like a fun little joking video about it. And it went really well. I did one for golf for GHI and a Santa one for Christmas a few years back. And I kind of poke fun of myself, and I'm totally,
I love it,
and it goes over really well. So I think people really appreciate I hold the phone, I walk around, I talk. You and I in Vegas, we're talking about it where I'm like, man, I got so many little video cuts on the side that I'm going to put a blooper video or a blooper reel together. I've been out there, I've been stung by bees, I've tripped, I've done stuff, but I try not to edit it, right?
There's something to being genuine and not editing. And so, with this podcast, a lot of times it's 0 edits.
Yeah.
I mean, and we leave a lot of that stuff in there, and it's also a conversation, right? And I don't have anything in front of me. I don't have any notes or anything, as anybody can see. As long as this camera's still working, I don't know.
I forgot that it was even on.
Right, I know.
I got comfortable. I forgot that was on.
Yeah. So anyway, there is just something to that where people can tell, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, I think it goes better if it's not.
Exactly, and that's how I feel as well. So, and that was like my whole approach of highlighting, the equipment that we do, trying to show, and people have told me is that I probably highlight too much. I'm like, but if they want to go see our product, they're going to see it anyways, right? So it's more for me is like, I'm going to go and show everything. And some of them are long, and I got to try to, I can be long-winded sometimes. So I got to try to bring that down in a little bit of shorts, but it's just my way of being like, hey, this is our product. I'm going to be real. And it's genuine. It's not pre-planned and it's not edited, and this is what it is. And I think it comes across really well. Because obviously I get so much feedback on it where like I had been at shows where people come up and is like, oh, the video guy. I was called the video guy for many years.
Oh, that's
like,
funny.
Okay, like, one of my competitors at the GSE Expo was just, walking down the hallway the last day and ran up and stopped me. And he was just like, I just want to introduce myself. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that. So
that is awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, and I think even when you say it, it's like, you see videos and that's cool, but I don't feel I'm just do what I do, right? I'm just me. So
you're authentically you.
It is.
And that's so important.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
All right. And then I wanted to ask you about, so you've been a couple of years, I think you've been kind of doing the golf thing for I think, is it GHI?
Yeah. 2 years now, I think that we do it. So we sponsor it, and we're going to do it again in Panama in June, I guess it's going to be. And we've got such good feedback on that. People are excited. So this year's goal is to get like a full course. So we've only got about like half last year. So we want to get the whole thing booked. So if anybody's looking to go golfing and stuff, it's like, it's a great time. And we're going to try to come up with some different events. But it's like, it's interesting that we'll have some of our competitors there.
Let's do it.
And at the beginning, you'll see there's a little bit of tension and stuff, but at the end, it's like, it's just a whole bunch of people from this industry having fun, going out, kind of celebrating a show that's going to come. And it's a really good time. So people love it. And we've got really good feedback from it, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's Panama, it's golf.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares if we're competitors or whatever? Yeah. I mean, we're not. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Who cares? So
yeah, we go,
just come out.
My CFO, Sunil, he's big into cigars, and I'm not at all, but I can't believe like the cigar culture out there. But he'll go buy like a whole bunch of really good cigars, and we just drive around and give people cigars while they're playing golf. And
there you go.
We go buy like.
So are you not even a golfer?
No, I don't even. I'd hurt my back a couple of years ago, so I don't. It's just too risky. So I'm like the driver and the provider of booze and cigars, and just talking to people and making sure they're having a good time.
Oh,
and
that's fun,
people
though.
really love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just do laps, and we'll get to see them probably 4 or 5 times during the thing. And yeah, it's a good time.
I think I need to hurt my back or something because I'm terrible at golf. And I think people are tired of seeing me out there trying to do it. So maybe I could drive around with you or something like that. And
that's the best about that tournament, with being the best ball there, is like, you don't have to golf, right? It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. And they're not, nobody cares, right? There's some really good golfers out there.
There's some really good golfers in GSE.
Yeah. I think the same group keeps winning it every year.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's never been my group, just to say. I've never, but I did. So obviously I came to GHI Orlando. I go to every GHI Americas, but I was golfing at the GHI Americas. It'll be a lot of fun to have it down in Panama. We haven't had a GHI Americas in Panama since 2019. And I think that was the last time that we were down there. Did you go to that one?
No, the first one we went to was Dominican.
Oh yes, that was a lot of fun.
That was crazy.
I mean, it was just crazy to know that you really couldn't leave the premises.
Yeah.
He saw everybody everywhere. The place was humongous, that Hard Rock.
It was.
Resort.
It was too big.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And then, you'll love this. So I decided to leave on an earlier flight. This will be my GSE story, by the way, for this episode. Okay. Just let the listeners know Matt's going to do a GSE story. So I decided to leave a day early, and so I was in a hurry. So I went and gathered all my stuff, threw it in my suitcase. It was kind of a last second decision. I was going to leave on a Friday, and I decided to leave on the Thursday because all the Oshkosh guys were coming back to Orlando, and they were like, no, this is a great flight. Hop on with us. So get everything. I'm running out of there. And then, of course, Patrick McDowell, which I'm sure he'll be listening to this, he lost his passport. It was a freaking mess. We left him for dead, though. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, sorry, we hightailed it out of there, and poor Patrick was just still standing there, like with his bags in his hands, with no passport, couldn't leave the premises.
Like in Dominican.
Yes, that's right, in Punta Cana. And it turns out it's kind of a long story, and I'll go ahead and ruin his GSE story, which is basically, they had thrown away his passport. They came in, he had left it in the room, in his, like, in between a seat cushion. The maid found it, threw it in the trash can. So he ended up, like, having to pay cash to a security guard, to even get him to go over there to help him get into the room. Well, he didn't even need to get into the room. They ended up, like, opening up the trash because they found the woman who had cleaned his room, and they found the passport in the trash. So he ended up getting out of there. That on our same flight and everything. But like I said, we left him. So I'll never be able to recover from leaving him there. But anyway, so back to Matt's story and not Patrick's story, which is, I left 2 or 3 suits in my closet, along with some button downs and ties. And I had just bought one of these suits. And I'd actually gotten a suit, and you can probably look back at the pictures on the LinkedIn. I'd gotten this really nice light blue suit that I still wear. It's very flashy, and it was for my mother-in-law's wedding. And my wife said, don't take that down there, because if you lose it or something happens to it, you're not going to be dressed like the rest of the party, because the wedding
was afterwards.
Was right after getting back from Punta Cana. So I was like, why would I ever leave a suit? You know what I mean? So anyway, that's the one that I did not leave behind. Thank God, or else I would have been murdered, because, I told her, I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to leave a suit. I left 3. Okay. And that's the only one that I did not leave. Thank the Lord. But she was getting married on a cruise, and that's the reason it was very tropical looking. And so that's the reason I thought, well, Panama is that's a great place to introduce that, right? So I think I had like a floral, like flowery tie and everything. So I'm like, it's Panama, right? You got to do that. So that's my GSE story for today. Nice. So we'll start wrapping this thing up. What's your GSE story?
Yeah, so I don't have anything like big. No, I haven't left any suits. I have lost lots of passports, and damaged lots of passports. So I got lots of stories on that, but. Yeah, I was thinking of, and probably a lot of people, maybe people don't think about it like this, but I'm gonna maybe take some people back, and you're probably going to be able to, appreciate this.
Okay,
let me give you like 3 little steps here.
I love it.
The being, I guess, so new and doing the stuff with WestJet and getting equipment going, and we're building stuff, and it's, it leaves our facility and it's like, it's gone, right? Never get to see it again. And it still is that first time that you walk through that door at a hangar, or, and you go into something where you're underneath like a 737 or like a plane, and you just look around and be like, the marvel of, oh my God, like, look at this stuff. Look how big everything is. And it only happens once, right? It's cool every time you go see it, right? Driving down your office here and seeing all the planes, I'm like, I love it. I love this industry. I love everything about it. But that feeling that when you go through that door, and I'm sure that people are listening are like, yeah, I know that first time that I got to go through, right? And that was like incredible for me. So, and I appreciate all the opportunities and all the stuff that my parents have done for me. So I got I asked WestJet if I could bring my dad over. And so I got him to come through, and just watching him, have that same feeling after I've gone in a few times, and getting to experience that with my family, and see him, look around, and just, again, the size of these buildings that nobody who's not been there you can't even describe it. Like, it's impossible. So this past year, I told you I have a son, 22, who works for me, actually. So it's great. Oh, okay. So it's kind of like the 3rd generation. He does, I guess I should say he works for us, does some of our QC for the GSE equipment, which is awesome. But the girls that are 15 take your kids to work day. So grade 9. I don't know. Did they do that in the States? Oh,
yeah, we did it. We did it at my former company at Exceed. Okay. And my son got to go to Chicago and go to the office.
Okay.
April of 2021 or 2022, something like that.
Nice. So I set up WestJet, Porter, Sky Cafe. So we deal with them all. but they all got the girls to come in and kind of did a tour of the aircrafts. And because they all, I mean, WestJet and Porter don't, but Sky Cafe services, Porter. So I was able to go and say, here's the equipment that we build. They got to see it against the aircraft, get to go in the aircrafts and do all that stuff. And I'm standing in Porter airplane, and one of the guys I was with is like, he's one of the header ups there, and he's like, man, he's like, I can see like the girls like do stuff, and he's like, I should probably like get my kids to do this, because you just forget you're in the industry and you don't pay attention of like people really like this stuff. And we're standing there, and I just hear it over like the announcement of like they're sitting in the flight deck and getting all the pictures, and then over the intercom is like, welcome to Porter, and they're on the back on the speaker, and I'm like, who gets to do that stuff as a kid? And you're speaking on a phone and or on the intercom, and you're changing the lights and doing all that stuff. So being able to share this, with I haven't got my wife out there yet, so there'll be kind of a thing because I tell her all the stories, but being able to share this experience that I'm going through right now, this whirlwind of sitting in a podcast with you and, getting articles written about me, and 9 years later we have a company and part of like this, this massive industry is just, it's everything for me. Right. Yeah. Like I'm such a family person, and it's like, that's been, I think when I look back, it's like, that's been the most rewarding thing for me, is be able to experience this and share it with other people. And I'm just like, I'm pretty humble, and I'm pretty just like,
no, I love that story. It's good.
And I think, again, everybody can relate, because you have that first time that you cross that line, the first time you're underneath the plane, and it goes away quick, but it's pretty wild. There's some people
that's pretty cool that you got to do that with your family too.
Yeah. And it's funny, they were talking about it, and they still talk about it. The girls, they wear like Wilcox GSE stuff at their high school. They become like Wilcox GSE stuff become like the cool wear now, which is like, I'm like, why are you wearing my work stuff? And it's like, it's awesome. But so all their friends want it and stuff.
They're like, what's GSE?
Yeah. And there's like all these other kids being like,
and then they start listening to my podcast. Yeah, I'll get them, all the kids. You know what I mean? Like, I become famous.
I guarantee. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, I talked about you, and they'll be on it, and they'll get their friends to do it. You'll peek.
I'm on Spotify, kids.
Yeah. You'll be like, why is like all this stuff in Canada? Like, what did I peek up there, my audience? But yeah, so I've been pretty lucky.
No, I would say so. That's awesome. I'm glad you started this side of the business and didn't just stay in trucks, and you came to our side of the GSE industry.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, this has been great, man. Yeah. I quiz my child every time we're on a plane. I'm like, all right, what is that down there? He's like, belt loader. Like,
nice.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like, and so I quiz him on everything. We'll see if we can get him into the industry. I don't know. So, but that's pretty cool. Your son's doing the QC stuff, and maybe one day he'll take the reins over from you, and then it'll be a third generation thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And what I was trying to figure is like, where's the place that you're going to learn the most? And I had the same talk with him. I'm like, you're my kid, right? You got to work harder than everybody else, and he does. Like he impresses me so much, and he goes out there and he gets underneath things, and he'll get in the mud and fix things if he needs to, and he just does it himself, and it's awesome. But being able to teach somebody is like, if you do QC, you'll know your product inside and out. You can sell the product, you can do all these different things. So he started creating manuals, then it was actually doing physical QCs, and as we kind of develop him and do it, is like, it was a good place to start. So it's I started with toilets. He started with manuals. It's a little bit. I was
going to ask you if he's done the toilets yet, but no, just at home.
Yeah. It's too clean now. So yeah.
Well, is there anything we haven't covered? I mean, I think we went through the products a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else you want to get out there about
just
Wilcox?
Like on our stuff, I don't think so. Again, thank you for the opportunity, but I was curious, and I did talk to you a little bit. We touched base a little bit in Vegas, but I think this is amazing in what you're doing here, right? And me personally is just like, I love change. I love pushing the envelope. I love kind of, getting outside the box. And I think that's really worked for me. I'm not really fearful of making a mistake and doing something different in an industry. And I think that's why we've done well so far. But look at your podcast and what you've done here, and I think it's amazing, right? As listening to some of them, and you started at, I think, a kitchen table or a kitchen counter,
kitchen
and
table,
we're in a studio that you're gonna, you're recording, and you're gonna be putting shelves and doing all these things. Is like, how did you get here? Like, how did it start?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thanks. I don't know if I've gone through this or not on the podcast. I don't think I have, but yeah. So in high school, I was a geek, right? So self-admittedly, I was in the AV, club or whatever. I don't know if it was a club, but it was definitely a class. We had an AV class, and I would edit videos for people for we had high school athletes, right? Obviously playing football and things like that. And they would want highlight videos they could send to colleges. And so I would edit their videos for them. I started building computers when I was 15 years old, and started a computer business. I've always been kind of like a techie person, and I really enjoyed kind of radio. So I did a little bit of radio at our high school. I was a color commentator for our football games. So my friend would do the play-by-play, and his dad did play-by-play for years for our high school football games. So they gave the role to him after that, and then I would come in and do the color commentating. I also was doing our PA announcing for our football games when they were at home. I only did the color commentating when we did away games, and then I would do the high school basketball games PA announcing as well. So I don't know how I kind of got involved in all those different things. I think the reason I brought up all those different things is because it's all very geeky stuff, but it's something that I enjoyed doing. And then when it was brought up to me, we were trying to figure out something fun to do for marketing for Exceed. And somebody said, we should do a podcast. And I was like, that's a terrible idea. and they were like, no, I think it would work. And I'm like, I don't know if it would. And I couldn't find the angle. And then one day I found the angle, and I was like, oh, I know. And it actually makes a lot of sense because we buy from everyone, right? We're agnostic as far as manufacturers go. So I'm like, I could interview manufacturers, and it would help them with their business because they would be able to come on here and talk about their business. Then they'll want to talk about Exceed because we're the ones that provided them this avenue to come on and talk about their products and things like that. So then they're going to talk about Exceed on their LinkedIn. And then I already have the background and the knowledge and hopefully the voice for this, right? So anyway, so that's kind of how it came to be. And I've been in this industry for a really long time, and so I kind of knew a bunch of people. And so my first call was from Brad Compton, just because he's the guy who hired me into this industry, and I kind of told you about meeting him in the Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And so I called Brad, and Brad knows everybody in GSE. And I was like, what would you think if I started a GSE podcast? Like, I can remember where I was talking to him in the car. And he's like, if anybody can do it, it's you. And which was great. Nice. I mean, whether or not he was being truthful at the moment, we'll never know. But it gave me the confidence after him saying that to go, okay, I think I can do this. And so anyway, again, Brad came in and saved the day. Like, he got me into GSE, and he told me I should do the podcast. And so here we are today. So that's kind of the story behind it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, right? I love people that take a chance.
Yeah.
Right. And you never really know. And
it was a chance though.
But look what you've done, right? You're great at it. And, a lot of people listen to it, and like, you've done really well. So
I appreciate that.
Keep going at it. And yeah. And again, I appreciate you giving me an opportunity here.
We have an idea. So I have a bunch of people ask me, that somebody should interview me. Right. And they're like, well, can I interview you? Like, I'll interview Matt Weitzel. All right. And so I think I have an idea on this. And I think it should be my son. So he's 11, but he's an actor. He's on stage all the time. He does not get camera shy at all. He will not be shy in front of a microphone. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a podcast where he comes in and he interviews me. And
that would be really good.
And I think that might be fun. And maybe we do that for Father's Day.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea. You have to do that.
Yeah. So
what a good idea.
And then we'll have the studio all set up by that point.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of a great way to like kick off the studio. And
oh man, I love that idea.
People finally get the Matt Weitzel experience brought to you
you have
by
to
his
give
son.
your experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have so many stories, and everybody has these great stories, and you put a little bit of yours in there all the time. But if you did that would be amazing. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So anyway, be looking out for that, guys. Hopefully the camera's still on. David, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for telling us about Wilcox. And Obviously, guys, to find Wilcox, you can just go online, Wilcox GSE, and you will see David at all the shows, and you can come up and talk to him about how great this episode is. Well, thank you all for listening. This has been Matt Weitzel and David Dick for the GSE podcast. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the GSE podcast. We hope you found it informative and engaging. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with your colleagues and peers in the ground support equipment community. Your support is invaluable to us. We'd appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate and review our podcast. Your feedback not only encourages us, but also helps expand our reach within the GSE community. Keep an eye out for more episodes as we continue to explore the dynamic world of ground operations, bringing you the latest trends, insights, and stories from the industry. Thank you for listening to the GSE podcast. Until we meet again, stay grounded and keep pushing forward.